everybody, welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips Friday edition with me, your host, Ann, Disembodied Hands, Quinty, Disembodied Beard, John, and Laura of Laura's Painted Minis. Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. I don't know if I can handle it. I need more sleep for this. Running a little late this week in general. It's you again. It's a you. All right, cool. Super cool. Actually, almost super cool. I need lotion. 1 second. Papa, it's just us. It's just the stream, Papa. It's just us on the stream. It is. Yeah. It's just the stream, Papa. Good girl, Kiki. She doesn't know where she wants to come up on my lap. No, you just came in because you thought there were axe murderers? Okay. No, it's just the stream, Kiki. There are no axe murderers here. There you go. All right, work. Work, Keeks. Oh, and somebody, Clavicus, did a resub. Hold on. Almost a quadruple sub-anniversary. Almost. But not quite. One more month, Clavicus. One more month. Excellent. Hey, Kiki, you're a good girl. Go settle. Ugh. So now that it's not raining every day, and it's getting drier here, like, my hands are just yuck. Yes, invisible Kiki. She's the invisible dog. She is. Alright, so just lotioning my hands here. Only the backs of them, of course. The insides of the fingers remain unlotioned, because miniatures. Alright. There we go. Now I smell like coconuts, and that's okay. Alrighty, cool. So we has a bee. And I feel like getting that yellow up actually today. So let's do some white underpainting. And then let's get our yellow on our bee to be brighter. Actually, I need to do his little white butt too. Although, the more I look at it, the white butt is really, like, totally invisible underneath here. So I'm kind of tempted just to put it in the black indigo. Because there's no point in doing a detail if nobody sees it. And then we can take some black and we can... Actually, I'd probably use gray liner for the wings if I want to glaze and get that kind of like window pane effect. So yeah, we might work on some different stuff today. I'm just going to put my white over here. It is just a day, folks. It's a day. I have an unpleasant errand today, so I'm just like, when that's done, then it'll be the weekend. Yay! Let's see here. 1, 2. There we are. But yeah, otherwise looking forward to the weekend. Have some Overwatch to watch. Have some dog blanket to knit. And some writing to get done. Oh, good, seriously. Yeah, good. Yep. Yeah, as I put up the next video, each video for the tube goes up on my Patreon, the next freshest video goes public, so. This is the grand YouTube experiment. Oh, yeah. That's a bummer, Kodiak. See your dragon. Hello, Slayer. Alright, glasses and bee underpainting. So we used a mixture of yellow ochre and lantern to give our base coat. Then I decided I wanted it a little richer, the shadows to be a little richer and darker, so I glazed with rich leather, which is a yellow. It's just a very subdued yellow. So now I've got my 2-to-1 white, just pure white, and I'm going to kind of figure out the little spots where I want really yellow to go. And I'm gonna highlight those. And since this bee is so small, it really doesn't, take any time to, you may as well just highlight very carefully and hit all the little bits rather than going for a quick and dirty. Also, it's hard to do like a quick and dirty on this, like as far as dry brushing goes, because everything is pretty shallow, detail-wise. But yes, hopefully that color theory video helped. There will be another color theory video next month where we talk about triadic schemes. And if you are on my $5 level or above on the Patreon, the thing I just put out on muted colors also goes very well with all the rest of this, because it tells you shows you how to classify muted colors, which is important because not all muted colors will go with all other muted colors. But I wanted that one to be a Patreon exclusive, not for the public. Bleach blonde is really, really difficult, but it depends on if you're going natural or not. Bleach blonde hair usually has like ash brown kind of shadows. So a light brown shadow, if you're natural. The problem with pale blonde hair is that it's really hard to shade and it tends to not look great. I have yet to find a great recipe for it. Other than just painting blonde hair really pale. I might use blonde hair as the base, shade with driftwood, and then bring it up to really light blonde. But it's a color that's hard to get right on hair. And it tends not to look great because most people won't shade it enough. And most of it's still got to stay really light, so it's not easy. But for that one, Laura, I don't think I would start with a shadow on the bleached blonde hair. I think I would actually start with the mid and shade down and then try to highlight up. Mostly because whenever I have to kind of feel my way through something like that, that's difficult and hard to get the proper effect. I'll start with the base color just to see if at least that is looking kind of the right way, and then I'll go from there. The YouTube it goes to the Patreon first, Twisted Oma, and then it goes to the YouTube. I'm doing a bunch of videos that Patreon gets early access to. But as I said, every time I put up a new one of those for the early access, I make the previous video public on the YouTube. And that is right now the color theory that just went up. It is the first of several color theory videos. So I'm just making these little white, and we're going to go over these with yellow. Hey, Dogfather. No, you never would do. Anytime you're doing a pale color, you're never going to do a really dark shadow. It does not look right. Unless you're doing something like silk or satin or NMM. That's the exception. But the thing you should do, Laura, is go and look at pictures of bleached blondes. I don't have my phone with me. It's on the charger in the other room, or I would Google that for you. But if you Google bleached blonde hair images, you should get a bunch to choose from. You can choose one that you like and then try to kind of get that effect. look at the color of the shadows. So we've got our white. Now we're going to take a yellow. I'm going to grab lantern, and thin it down and put it over the top. Yeah, but doing that and making it look right at 28 is very difficult, Pendrake. So that's why I would just say, just do it as if it's freshly bleached. I mean, you can darken the roots with the driftwood brown, but mostly it's like, you may even go down to shield brown, but some of these effects are just like, at 28 millimeter, when you try to do it, it just looks like you botched your shadow. Like, that's what it just doesn't look good, right? Like, you might be able to manage it with if you're really careful and working from photograph. But more often than not, when people try to do like salt and pepper hair or bleached blonde or something like that at 28 millimeter, it just ends up looking like they botched something and didn't know what they were doing. So that's why I'm kind of cautious about it. I think it's far more viable to do it on a bust where you have the room to actually suggest, you know, you're a lot closer to real scale. The hair is sculpted correctly in most busts, whereas hair is very oversimplified on most 28 millimeter. Yeah, and 2D artwork doesn't always translate very well to the miniature, right? So it's up to you if you want to try it. But be ready for it to not look great. I mean, it depends. But yeah, when you say bleach blonde, that's a good point. Like, bleach blonde can mean artificial. What you really mean is sun streaked, like, you know, bleach blonde because it's been in the sun for forever. That's a totally different. Then I might look up sun-streaked blonde hair or something like that. Different search. You got to be pretty specific with what you tell the Googs. Yep, Shadow Raven. Yep. But yeah, blonde hair is often hard to get right in 28 millimeter. We often have to glaze with something that's more vibrant than we typically use. Rhonda uses, or did use at one time, Saffron Sunset to glaze blondes, and I think that's a wonderful color for that. I just dug up my bottle the other day. So I'm just glazing the lantern yellow over the top of this white, and the white is picking it up and turning into a brighter yellow. Alright, so there we go after our glaze of yellow. And I kept it pretty heavy because I wanted this to be a brighter yellow. But now we can see that the highlights are working. But again, Pendrake, it just depends on whether by bleached blonde she meant sun bleached, because that's different. Yeah, with hair I find you got to be really specific about what you're trying to do. Because I almost always, if I want a very specific hair color, I almost always have to go to Google image search and really look for what I'm looking for. So pretty yellow. Yellow bee. Yeah, yellow bee. All right, now front. Yeah, so you want a washed out blonde if you're going to do that, but auburn might get you just in the same trouble because auburn is going to be more vivid than your. I've seen your models, and I think auburn is actually more problematic, Laura. Auburn tends to be a really rich color. Even though it's a browned out mute, it's not the same. If you are on my Patreon and you go to the $5 tier, if you looked at the muted colors PDF, because I talk about classifying muted colors along a scale, and class 1, which is where I would put the category 1, which is where I would put the auburns, is far away from category 3, which is where your muted colors are currently sitting. At least to my eye. So yeah, you almost when you go that muted, your choices for hair color become a very muted brown, like shield highlighted with blonde hair, or a really pale blonde, or silver, like a white hair, or black. Like that's pretty much what you can do. Anything else is going to clash. Well, I just put it out, so it's like not like you have to rush over and read the muted colors. But since you're working with them, you should. But yeah, in this case, your instinct for going with a very light blonde is correct. So then, blonde hair, shaded with driftwood or shield brown, very, very light touches along the whatever the creases between the locks of hair, and then highlight with white to bring it up real light. Yeah, whenever you choose a very muted color scheme, you limit yourself dramatically. That's why they're difficult. You can't just use anything anymore. You have to actually find colors that are compatible, and there aren't that many. Although you can certainly make any color muted to that extent by mixing it with gray. But with some colors, if you do that, like if you did that with auburn, obviously you'd end up pink. So pinky orange, pinky coral, which you could do. It would be an odd hair color, but you could certainly do it. But you'd really have to gray it out. You could also use an unnatural hair color, but since you already have two strong colors on the model, it would be kind of a question mark. You could use a grayed out purple. Now we're doing the white underpainting here, and I'm not going to do it quite as strong. Yeah, silvery hair like we did on Angry Link. I mean, you always can go neutral. You always can go neutral when you've got a really muted scheme. A literal bee hair product. It would be a hair product because beeswax. And so highly applicable. Twisted Oma wins the internet today for a totally relevant suggestion to the thing we're actually painting. And she didn't even mean to pun. Which is the best kind. So you can see how that brings that color up, and now we have a bright yellow. Hush, Twisted on me. It doesn't matter if your fingers weren't working. You won the internet because you made short B into a longer B, which could also be BEE, which could also pertain to RB. So there we go. There we go. Our little bee has lots of yellow. Excellent. Yes. Yes, be positive. Exactly. All right, let's try to get these little bee wings in. Then we'll work with our black indigo more and make more highlights. I need a gray liner. Flingers. Or you're typing with drunk thumbs. Your thumbs are drunk. They came to work inebriated. And that's the reason. Alright, so I want just a little bit of this gray liner. I'm going to get a puddle of black indigo set up too, because I want to maybe intermix them. Yeah, silver hair is always a good call for elves in general. But yeah, maybe look at, if you're looking for that washed out blonde, look for pictures of Galadriel from Fellowship and Two Towers. Scream caps from the movie. I'm just thinning down stuff, and then so gray liner. Just mixing these guys up so that I can mess around with them. My worry is that the gray liner is going to be too desaturated for the wings. That's going to change the color too much. But I don't know that, so we're going to... Oh, I'm crooked again. I'm always crooked. Why am I so crooked? It's like Kiki comes in and adjusts my camera when I'm not here. All right. So I want to paint the veins and the wings with the gray liner straight, darken them down. And then I'm going to try to put a glaze over the whole thing with the gray liner to get that smoky look that bee wings have. Yeah, I will probably be forced to do this kind of thing on my version of the 90-day mini as well, since we went muted with the purple. So we're just trying to get these little lines in. And I think I'm just going to do a really thin glaze once I have them all in. But I want them all to be there, so I want them all to be relatively solid. Alright, once I've got that, where I feel like that's pretty solid, yeah, I mean, you can always, I mean, yeah, using a neutral gray is like, it just runs the risk of looking lifeless. But I mean, the touch should be so subtle that you don't really see it. So it's not, you don't have to use the same color you used on a model. You can, it can help, but it doesn't always register. Though if you do use that, then it's more likely that if you do overtune it a bit and have a little bit too much of the color in there, the fact that you've got the color itself on the model will mean the viewer won't see that. It'll wash it out. Pizza is off limits for me, and I am also committed to my current diet, so I was a good girl yesterday. I'm proud of myself. Mountain Dew. It would have to be like a lemon meringue or a key lime or something like that. It would have to be something citrusy. Although I could see it working with a coconut cream, maybe. I used to love Mountain Dew when I was a kid. Like, that was what I lived on in high school. Now, of course, I think it's gross because I haven't had real soda in so long that all soda is gross. But I loved that stuff in high school. Yes, Pendrick. The tomato is the big problem because that's the one I have an extreme reaction to. But the bread is also very carby. Pizzas are kind of the worst combination of everything as far as like nutrition, quote unquote, goes. They're giving you a ton of like fat along with a lot of carbs. Not much protein, not much nutritional value, no fiber generally. You can load up a veggie pizza. I mean, it all depends on like your diet and what you react well to, right? But in general, people have shown that a lot of processed carbs with a lot of like saturated fat is not great. Not a great option. But nutritional science goes so crazy, like it twists and turns every which way. Nobody can agree on anything, it seems like, so question mark, question mark. But yeah, for me, the high carb content plus the fact that tomatoes are an absolute no, it means pizza's off the table. It's also super high calorie, so it doesn't help my diet at all. Mostly it's the calories. Like, I could make a low carb pizza with an alternative sauce. But there we go. We have wings. Now we're gonna glaze them and then we're gonna highlight them. Maybe I should highlight them first. I think I'll do that. Yeah, exactly. Well, and it depends on what your goals are, right? Odd enough. Yeah, I'm sure that was odd. With the Mountain Dew. Yeah, I mean, not the pizza isn't tasty. It just like it fulfills none of my dietary goals and it makes me sick with the tomatoes, so pesto pizza is totally like I'm on board with pesto pizza, but I'm not because too many carbs and it's just too high calorie for me. I'm going to mix up a little bit of white with a tiny bit of the indigo in it. And I'm going to do a little bit of lighter highlight here in these little panes toward the edges. But yeah, you eat what you want to eat, and that's, you define your diet, you have control. There we go. So it's, you can still see all the transitions. I'm not being very tight with this, but I also can just mix up a new puddle of a off-white based on my black indigo. And I can use that to do some, just a little bit of blending to make these transitions look less blocky. Oh, yikes. Yep, positive thoughts, Kodiak, for sure. Good for you. You know, I didn't like the chicken crust I had once, seriously. But the thing is, it's still too high calorie. Like, I don't like pizza enough to actually do, like, I would prefer an almond flour crust anyway. But yeah, it's just not worth it to me. Like, pizza is not worth it to me. I guess if I, like, very rarely I would get one of the gluten-free low-carb crusts from the grocery store, like in the old days, and I would make a pizza. But David didn't really enjoy them, and I didn't really enjoy them, and I'm like, well, this isn't worth it then. And where I am right now is very, very strongly calorie watching. So it's even more unlikely that I will reach for a pizza. I can have so many other things that I like to eat more that are lower calorie. Yeah, chicken pizza. Happy B-Day, Richard. Yeah, it's just, I mean, yeah, it's just, pizza does not react well to some people, Twisted Oma. You're not missing out. There's plenty of other tasty food in the world. Like, I would rather have a loaded baked potato than a slice of pizza, and they have about the same calories. Or loaded half a baked potato, I guess, has about the same calories. Maybe an entire one. I don't know. I'd have to look that up. Depends on how far you load it. I don't load it, like, immensely, so. I only have the gut room to really like eat like half of a baked potato these days anyway. Yeah, anything made fresh, I believe that, Big Apple. Anything made fresh is generally better. And then you can control the calories a little bit better. You can control like how much fat you put on it, or you can control like, you know, how carby you make the crust and all that kind of thing. I'm all about that. That's why I learned to cook. There we go. So now we blended in those wings a little bit better. So now when I put the glaze, the only food you could never give up? Yeah. Well, be glad you don't have my problems then. Grease and fat, yeah. I love grease and fat, but yeah, the pizza is just, it's too much stuff, too much of everything. That doesn't work for me. All right, so just a little bit of extra highlighting around the edge of the wings here. So I decided that on my, you know, you guys know I've been trying to work with my brain and figure out, you know, losing weight for, you know, a little while now, trying to refocus on it. But I figured out that I just need to not step on the scale at all. That's the opposite of most people. But I realized that like the problem is I get in, because it's not that I lack the willpower to stay on a diet, but I have to be like if I get discouraged, then it's super hard, right? And it turns out that the scale tends to discourage me because I hit plateaus really easily. So I figured out that this latest attempt that I'm in about 4 days into now with good results, this latest attempt, I'm not going to step on the scale again for 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, I should have at least lost half a pound or a pound. So as long as I still keep seeing progress, I think I'll stay motivated and encouraged. But it's just too likely when I step on, if I step on the scale every day, I'm going to hit a plateau, not move for a week, get really frustrated and eat something. like that's how it's going to work for me. Like I have the evidence of all my past experience. No, I have to have feedback a little more frequently than that Pendrake. And I am doing measurements. Measurements will help. I can do a measurement whenever I want, but I'm going to try to do it every 2 weeks. Yeah, I can't do that, Laura, like, because I just don't see... Once I get to, like, a quote-unquote, like, my target weight, a weight that I'm happy with, then sure. Then I'm probably going to weigh every day because it's going to remind me not to go off the wagon. But if I step on that scale every day for a week or a week and a half and it doesn't move, even though I'm probably, like, if I've been on my diet, I'm still losing weight, but like I'm retaining water or something, right? But my body is stuck in that plateau. And because I'm not seeing movement for so many days in a row, I just get totally discouraged and stressed out and wonder if it's even worth it. And I start doubting whether it's going to work. And then it fails. So I've decided that the way around that is just not to step on the scale every day. Whereas that does work for a lot of people for weight loss. It keeps them accountable if they have to step on the scale every day. But for me, I've just decided it doesn't work for me. It backfires. And sometimes I think you've got to do that, right? Yeah. See, that's it. Yeah. This is one that's a lot. Yeah. Both sides are right, Kodiak. The thing is, it's all about you and how your brain works. Yes, tracking your weight daily has been very motivating. Right, exactly. Well, I think, though, and this is a generalization, though men do tend to lose a little easier than women. In most of my experience, just most, there are definitely guys who are exceptions here. But when any of my friends, I've had so many of a couple friends of mine both go on the same diet at the same time. and the guy loses weight gradually and pretty evenly, and the woman is like, eh, eh, eh. Like it's a little bit harder, and they don't see the results, and then they get sad. But it depends on your body. It depends on your composition, right? It depends on how overweight you are. All sorts of stuff. Yeah, doing the scale daily is what I did when I was on Noom, because they want you to get over your fear of stepping on the scale, right? And to give you, as you say, motivation. Gaining does not provide me motivation for the next day, though. Gaining or staying stuck, it just instantly frustrates me and makes me sad and makes my subconscious want to just toss the diet out the window. So I just came to the conclusion that for me, it's not the right choice. And this is why a diet plan doesn't work for everyone, right? Because everyone is different. Some of these things are going to work great for you and some of them aren't. And that's why all of us who are, have ever been on a weight loss journey, all of us are just experimenting with everything to try to figure out what works for us. And that's actually valid. It's probably the best way to do it. Because you learn what your pitfalls are, right? Pay attention to what your pitfalls are. So just a little bit of real bright white around the edges here. See, it's only a motivator for me, like, if I'm sitting at a weight that I definitely don't want to go over, then I'm terrified and I stick more to my diet. Because I have I'm never going above this weight rule. Do you guys all have that? Like, or any of you who have lost weight in the past? It's like, if you've lost weight in the past, you get this, oh my god, I'm never going to be more than X weight again. Yeah. Right, Thormel, exactly. And the health monitor is a good one too. But, a lot of this is I'm going to CrossFit. Okay, so Tim, the owner of the CrossFit, he's there at the Open every Saturday, and his wife is there too. And she is, oh my god, in good shape. Like, she's older than I am. Or, yeah, I think because he's from my era too. I think they're both in their early 50s. And holy crap, she looks great. Like, I know she doesn't have my body type, but it's like, I still aspire to look better because I can see, like, older people around me looking better. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I managed not to. I put the brakes on this time. I'm frustrated. Um, the thing is that I've been building muscle mass, right? So I'm hoping that this time it's going to be better because I've been doing weights for the first time since I was a teenager. So what I'm really hoping is that, the loss, you lose a bit of your metabolism as you age. I'm hoping that the muscle mass is like going to make up for that, so that puts me at least on even keel. That's my fingers crossed, guys. Yeah. You've dropped to 150. If you used to be 100, probably 130. But it depends on, I know that sometimes your diet is a little restricted, Twisted Oma. I'm not sure what you can do, but yeah, it could be that, the sickness kind of kicked your metabolism for a loop. So now it's going to be harder, which is a bummer. Yeah. Especially when you've been, thin your whole life. It's those darn switches in your body. They just flip. And then you're like, wait, I got to get back to X. And the switch is like, nope, I already flipped. Sorry, this is your new normal. Hey, Roger. See, my weight rule is I'm never going to go over X. And so in my case, that's 180. So if I go to 180 or even like a tick over it, I crush, I'm like, okay, we have to get serious. And that's just but again, it's how your brain works, right? What's important is how your brain works. Different people are motivated by different things. And we all got to figure out, what works for us. And it's so frustrating. Unless we get lucky and we find a friend or a guide who what works for them works for you too. That was like me and Bridget with the keto. Like, she turned me onto it, and it worked for me like a dream. And since she actually is doing carnivore diet, she's doing super high protein diet. I can't do that. And she also fasts. And both of those things have never worked for me. But the low carb definitely works for me. So at least I was able to take away one thing, even if our bodies have diverged and are not the same, but we had at least good results from one particular thing. Mm-hmm. Oh, you're taller. Oh yeah, 150 at 5'8". Yep, yep. Especially if you're athletic. Like, and that's the thing I've had to tell myself. I'm like, I could probably. I was overweight in high school at 140. Now I would probably look amazing if I could hit 140 because of the muscle mass. So like if you run, it's the same, right? You're building a lot of muscle in your legs and stuff in your cardio fitness. But yeah, I realized that I had to make a weight roll thing when I started to gain back after, my keto lowest was 160. And I'm at 180 now. And I would love, like, more than anything, being back at 160 would make me feel great because, I mean, again, I've gained muscle, right? So I probably would look even better at 160 now. So 20 pounds is where it's at. Anything extra is gravy. But more than anything, I'm trying to just build an eating lifestyle. Like, I'm finding the calorie counts and the what I can eat that fulfill my dietary and nutrition needs, but that also, aren't overeating all the time. Going to visit my parents is actually really good for me because my mom just has, she just has a snack for lunch. She doesn't really do lunch. She'll sit down and she'll have some cheese and some protein of some sort, usually sausage or something like that, leftover like shredded chicken, whatever. Yeah, 160. You and me, Laura. Woo, fist bump. Sure, Felix. Don't worry. We're just chatting. 1.6. I don't know. Sometimes they do. It really depends on how busy they are, Felix. Like, having worked at the warehouse during Kickstarter fulfillment, it is pretty much all hands on deck. But if they've got the capability to do it without too much work, maybe. If it's a pain, if that was actually a pain for them to set up and to monitor, then I would say, yeah. Yeah. So it just depends. It just depends, Felix. Because with Reaper, they're going to decide pretty much just in the days working up to it, whether they have the manpower and the time to set up a rig and put the stream live and da-da-da-da. Yeah, it just depends. I mean, they've lost. The thing is that they lost one of their video guys, Felix. Justin went on to a different opportunity. So I'm not sure if John gets saddled with that, or if they have somebody else who could do it, or if John's too busy, So whenever you lose one of your key components, you just kind of have to. It ends up being question mark whether it'll be picked up again. I don't know. Maybe John did it the first time though, or for Bones 5. So I'm not sure who. Justin would have been the obvious choice for who to set that up, but doesn't mean that he was. John and Frank cover it now. Okay, cool trash. Thanks. 5. Oh, you're 6'5". You're huge, Kodiak. Yeah. Aim for whatever makes you feel good. I mean, if you hit 250 and you're like, I could keep going, and if you, think that it would help. I don't know, BMI probably plays into that, right? How much muscle you have versus how much. Actually, if you get to 250, maybe you could start. Did you used to lift? I don't remember. I think. I know a couple of you guys used to lift. I think Shadow Raven did, right? You used to do martial arts. And Kodiak, didn't you used to do martial arts too? Yeah, that's what my grandparents did, Twisted Oma. It's canning. Big garden. Grandma had a big garden. She canned a lot. Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, that's not too bad, though, dog probably, yeah. When you're actively fighting, that's a lot of muscle, probably, right? Yeah. I was asking because of Kodiak, if you get your weight down to what you wanted, you might be able to pick up the martial arts again, and that might even help more. Because once you're at the weight you want, then I think it's about like getting like just getting more fit so that you can do everything you want to do. That's why I'm doing CrossFit. CrossFit last night, by the way, was the 5K row. Discontinued paint group order for ReaperCon pickup went live yesterday. Pretty happy with the engagement thus far. Where did you put it up, Trash? Where can people find it? Tell us where people can find it. When they need peacock green, tell us, and chestnut gold. And any of the dusky skin colors. Oh no, I went too bright. Too bright, too bright. Discord, or you can click that. Yay! Thank you. Thank you, Trashrama. So yes, if you want any of the Reaper colors that have been discontinued, you should go check out the gang who are putting together mass order for discontinued paint for pickup at ReaperCon, if you are going to ReaperCon, or if you have a friend who's going to ReaperCon who could pick up your paint for you. Alright, so wings up. I went a little bit lighter on the middle of that, but yeah, I can go a little bit more up here. There. Those are pretty wings, huh? Let's do a glaze. Oh, no, no. That's just something that the fans are putting together, Felix, so it's not directly through Reaper, I think. It's just a fan operated thing. So like I said, if you made a friend on the Reaper Discord, you could maybe get them to pick up your paint and send them a bit of cash to ship it to you. No, they have not done anything with that Pendrake that I know of. Otherwise, guess what? Everybody on this stream would be talking about it. Like, I gave them the list of my recommendations, but I expect that it'll just happen if it happens, when Ron has time or when Dave asks about it, or like at some point, what I anticipate based on past Reaper meetings and having been in Reaper meetings for 17 years is that one of these days somebody is going to come into the Monday meeting going, oh my gosh, I have no room, I can't do X, and X is something that Reaper wants done. And Dave is going to go, well, you know, where's that paint stuff? Weren't we going to get rid of some of those paints? And Ron will go, oh, I have a doc from Anne, and blah, maybe we can adapt it and do a thing. And then Dave will say, well, get on that. And Ron will say, okay, and then it'll happen the next day. No decision has been made yet. Yeah. Yes, exactly. But that's how I envision it happening. Is like, okay, they did answer. Okay. Yeah, like I said, they could very much take my list and decide, oh, that color doesn't sell at all, we're not keeping it no matter what Anne says. This is why I keep telling you guys that you should order now. I'm going to put in an order for more Orchid Purple, because it's my favorite. And I'm going to use it on my Golden Demon entry. Don't tell GW. Is it sad when I order a bunch of Games Workshop paints just so that I can figure out what the equivalents in Master Series are? So I can paint my model with a Canon paint job, but a non-Canon paint job. Alright, there we go. Okay, I'm going to do the glaze. Yeah, I mean, they'll get to it when they get to it, if they're going to get to it. And they may or may not use my list, and that's okay. I mean, I kind of, if I were Ron, I would take my list, I would look at sales data, I would maybe chop. Like, if there were paints that I cut that Ron is like, no, maybe we shouldn't cut that, it sells. Maybe they'll, do some swaps. Or maybe he'll just use my list as a guide. I mean, I don't need to get a whole new drop of gray liner. I have gray liner. I just need to put some medium in it, i.e. brush on sealer. Where is my brush on sealer? There it is. Okay, so when it does happen. So they're planning to do it. That's good. So yeah, so like I said, if there are any of the weirdo colors, especially like colors toward the end of the line, tend not to sell as well. Like the Kickstarter colors from recent Kickstarters. Thanks, Slayer. I'm gonna glaze over them and make them a little bit more cloudy. So I'm gonna take some of this gray liner. I'm gonna put it in a separate little puddle. Boop. Boop. I'm gonna drop some. I need a new bottle of sealer. I think I have a new bottle of sealer. I just haven't grabbed it. This bottle of sealer is definitely getting on its last leg. Needs to be pokey tooled. But yeah, like especially stuff like Orchid Purple, Leaf Bud Green, later colors, Moonstone Blue, Carbon Gray, any of the Kickstarter stuff. So I'm going to put a couple drops of brush on sealer in there. And I'm going to put some water in it, and we're going to see how it looks. Because I do want to cloudy these a little bit, just make them a little bit cloudy. And so I'm mixing up this. I want this to be really transparent. So I'm kind of looking at it and seeing how cloudy it's going to make. I think one more drop of water. Yeah, there. I just want it to just put a slight film over them. Because that's what bee wings look like. So they're smoky colored. All right, and if I screw up, I can always paint it back over with the other colors. So we're gonna take a big brush full and we're gonna put it over the whole thing, and then we're gonna wick it off. So, oh yeah, yep. I know, I did right. I'm already liking it. So what this does is it darkens the wings just a little bit. I may need to put on more than one. I need to go and slurp off all this excess though. The medium will help keep it from drying weird though, so I have time and I don't really need to get everything. But so this helps to blend. It also darkens the color just a tad. That looks good. No other puddles. There. So it smokied it just a little and it blended it. I'm going to see how that ends up looking. And then I might do a gloss on the wings too, actually. Once I decide if I'm going to do another layer of this. And it's subtle because I thinned it so much, but I just wanted it. I wanted to get an idea of how it was looking before I decided to go whole hog on it. You can always put another layer on. Yeah, I think a gloss on these, that's still the wet glaze. I think a gloss on these would be actually pretty cool. a little bit of the highlight color and bringing it back up in here a little bit. Thinned down this kind of pale indigo color a lot. It looks pretty. And when you glaze with a dark color like this, you are going to have to re-pick up your edge highlights. Or your highest highlights. They're similar. One sec. Beefolk are a little bigger. Beefolk are taller. Honestly, if I met a bee this big, I would be pretty darn scared. I want to get this edge. Kind of want to make sure that the overlap is visible there, so I need to bring in more white. So yeah, we did a 5K row last night. That's getting on the rowing machine for 25 to 30 minutes for most people. Sitting there and rowing nonstop. I missed it when the last time they did this. I was on vacation or something. They do it a couple times a year. I actually really like the rowing machine though. Of the cardios, I think it's my fave. And darken down this part a little bit. Alrighty, I think it looks pretty good. What do you think, gloss? I think gloss. Since I'm doing glossy eyeballs, I'll do glossy wings too. I'm going to do an edge, a white edge around though. Yeah, whether you get more just depends on how well they sell. As with everything. Sales drives. Sales drives it. Bloop, 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 bloop. Bloop. Bloop, 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 bloop. I'm only going to put one coat of gloss on the wings because I don't want them to be super, super glossy. Oh, Kiki, no barks. Kiki's like, but there's somebody out on the street doing something weird. Don't you care? No, Kiki, I do not care. There we go. Glistening wings. Glistening wings. Glistening wings. Glistening wings. And shiny eyeballs. There we go. So yay. Awesome. We got our yellow. Looking pretty good. We got wings. Let's do some more highlighting on our indigo. We're going to have it, keep it pretty minimal. Yeah, weird street people indeed. Sitting in my chair today, just when you've sat. The worst part of rowing for half an hour on the rowing machine is that you it's sitting on it. It's actually, it's not your arms, although my arms are a bit achy today. You know, it's not your legs, it's your butt. Sitting on that hard plastic seat for half an hour while you're rowing is really, really not fun. All right, so we've got some black indigo already. We got our highlights that I had for the bee wings. So I've got my black indigo here and some highlights that I can work with. I'm going to put some water in my pure white so that I keep it good. I'm happy that it's the weekend. I'm happy that it's going to be really nice out for the weekend here. So the CrossFit Open was announced the third and final day, and it's ridiculous. Yeah, rowing is my favorite cardio for sure. I'm not the fastest at it because I have T-Rex arms, and usually the long arms people and the taller people are much better at it. But I didn't stop last night. I went full bore the whole half hour. It took me 29 minutes and something. I wasn't the slowest, just by a little tiny bit. The girl next to me was much taller than me, and she has longer arms, but she also was like resting. She couldn't like go full bore for the whole thing, so I managed to not be the last person. So I need a little bit of highlight around the head. But yeah, the Open is pretty much undoable for me. Even the scaled version, like pretty much all of the girls, as I say it, we've got a lot of women in the 7 p.m. CrossFit class, and we were all just like, roar, how do they expect us to do this? So the joke is that we're pretty much going to like do the first 10 movements and we're done because we won't be able to do the pull-ups at all. So the Open is the whole point of the Open. One is just to get everybody around the world doing the same workout for 3 days, and it's cool that way. And you get placed on a scoreboard, and you get to check where you are, and then you can try to beat yourself next year, right? So that's all cool. But they also use it to qualify people for the CrossFit Games, which are the CrossFit version of the Olympics, which means only the top, they're trying to find the top 100 or the top 500, the top whatever, most fit people in each age group around the world. So, of course, there's going to be a workout in the Open that is really going to smack you in the gob and tell you, you are not Open, you are not Games material. So it's thrusters, which are you get the dumbbell up to your shoulder, or the barbell up to your shoulder. So you've got weights on this thing. You do a full squat, and then when you come up to the top, you right away push the barbell over your head. And you do 10 of those in a row for 5 rounds. So you're doing 50. This is just the first half of the workout, by the way. Interspersed with pull-ups. 10 of those. Chest to bar. And if you can't do a pull-up, you can do a jumping pull-up. So pretty much me and most of the other women are like, we're going to be able to do 10 thrusters, and then we're going to sit there for 15 minutes trying to do one pull-up. And then we're going to have a donut and go home. Because it's just not, like, it's just not. It's one of those workouts that, like, apparently they expect many people not to be able to do it. But the first two were fun. I really liked last week's open workout. That was rowing and deadlifts and jumping rope. And I could do that, right? The first two workouts were actually both fairly accessible. But this one, they're like, okay, now it's time to get serious. Oh, and then if you get to the second half of the workout, then you up the weight on the thrusters, and you do 7 of those, interspersed with rounds of bar muscle ups, which is when it's the gymnastics movement where you actually pull yourself up onto the bar. That's a bar muscle up. It's the most gymnastics intensive movement in CrossFit. And so you have to do 7 of the heavier thrusters, and then 7 bar muscle ups, and then 7 again for 5 rounds. And apparently there is someone who did this in, God, what did Andrew tell me last night? 8 minutes. Went through the whole thing at top level in 8 minutes. Those are like the people who are crazy fit. It's insane. Expanded insight. Yeah. Yep. Donuts, I'm in. Yeah. Coach Allie, she's my coach in the 7 p.m. class. One of them, she and Andrew both coach it, and Allie brings the donuts. Because you deserve a donut if you're going to do the open. But yeah, the open is fun. Like, it's going to challenge, like, who was it, Dogfather? You've been thinking about trying CrossFit Open. Before you do it, I would totally join a CrossFit box and do CrossFit, because if you're doing dumbbells and kettlebells and rowing, you still won't be doing, like, you won't necessarily be getting all the movements. I don't know. You're experienced, so maybe you could use the dumbbells and kettlebells to do a lot of movements for sure. But, like, you're not jumping rope, you're not running, you're not doing the other cardio. Hey, CrossFit just pretty much makes me do all the stuff, even the stuff I don't like. So just doing a little bit of highlighting back here, guys, just to get the back of his head. And just like on the front of the head, we're going to focus around that top kind of crown of the head. There's a little more texture back here. So I've got to be careful with that. I want to maybe bring it out a little bit, but not very much. Because we've got that texture right there. I mean, if you can do all that, and some of these people are in their 60s. There's a seniors class, Daffodwear. If you can do, like, 100 thrusters and 50 pull-ups and 50 bar muscle-ups, and you're, like, 63, you are going to be able to do whatever you want for it. Like, you could live to 100 as long as you maintain fitness, and you're never going to have a problem getting up off the floor. Like, you're never going to have a problem bending over. You know? Like, that's the advantage, right? Is that you just are in very good shape then going into your later years. And yeah, as you get older, the amount of weight that you can lift goes down, right? But you still have that just base level of fitness that's really impressive. Like, those are the people who are still skiing when they're 85, and they're doing, like, maybe not competitive skiing, but they're out there, and they're not, like, slackers, right? Like, I admire those people. I always wanted to be one of those people and didn't know that I ever would be able to be one of those people, but if I keep with CrossFit, maybe. So that one a little light, not bad though. Oh, CrossFit, not the open. Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, you'd take to CrossFit really, really well then, Dogfather. You should totally try it. Like, go in and just do an intro class. The nice thing about it is it's different every night, right? I don't even look up the workouts in advance. I just show up, and there's the workout. And it's always different. and challenging. The biggest thing, I got lucky with the CrossFit box that I found, that Coach Tim, owner Tim, has such a really, he's got a very inclusive mindset. It's not just a bunch of jocks at that gym. It's all sorts of people from all walks of life, because he has that emphasis on fitness as you get older that I think attracts people. Some of the CrossFit boxes are very, very, the people there all look like they're, it's all the beautiful people, right? Which doesn't mean that it's still not a good place to go. So really just figure out, like, who the owner is, what their priorities are. Are they, how do they feel about scaling? Because CrossFit's big thing is it's supposed to be able to scale for anyone. But yeah, you should give it a try. Maybe you'll like it. It certainly keeps me going, like, twice a week. And I've thought about adding a third day. Yeah, when you start Twistoma, like because we have there's a class for 65 and older at the gym. But when people come in and they start, they're not even holding a bar. They're just holding like a piece of PVC pipe. Because it's more important at that point to establish what your range of motion is than to like make you lift weights. Because that's the real thing that you're aiming for probably at that point in your life, especially if you haven't been super fit, is getting back range of motion and making sure that you can do the movements without hurting yourself. But yeah, I really like CrossFit. I've enjoyed it. Yep, have a great weekend, Crowley. Bye. Oh no! Crowley succeeds! Oh man, happy Friday, Crowley. Oh, Quindy. Just when they've lulled us into a false sense of security by not having it work for so long. That's how you know it's going to be a good weekend. Oh, Lordy. Get out of here, hamster. Have a good one. Too late, Daffodweir. Quindy has pounced upon it and deactivated it. Quindy or Trash has. Putting a little bit of pure white right around the rim here of the eye. There. So now we got that little bit of shininess on the top of his head so we can see the light. There we go. So now we want to do the antennae, but really only the tops. Tops and a little bit on the side. We want to bring out the details on the bee, but we have to be careful because you do want him to look black. So we have to really keep a lot of shadow and keep our highlights very small and tight. So that's the plan. Kiki, are you yawning? Are you telling me it's almost time? It is almost time, but Mommy was late today, so she has to go a little longer. She's like, "Oh, shucks, Mommy. Why'd you do that?" So we'll start out with a soft highlight. Don't worry, Keeks. Just give me another 10 minutes. We'll be fine. Kiki's like, "I want my weekend." So start out with a small highlight. You can see it just a little bit on the sides. But I'm going to keep it on the sides and not the underside. So you want to be able to see it, but also have shadows. All right. So our wings are glossy. It's all dry now. Shiny wings. Glossy, glossy wings. And the shiny eyeballs. Yeah, I like that. So we'll do metallics on the shoulders. Does anybody know when those new metallics from Army Painter are coming out? The aluminum flake ones? I pre-ordered them. I have no idea what the release date is. I probably need to look that up. Yeah, there are there are very few things that I would use gloss on, but insects make sense to me. Now a little bit more. Looks like April 20th. Thanks, Quindy. I want to do a thing on those for my my Patreon. You can run them through their paces. I have high hopes for them. It's Army Painter, so I'm, like kind of like trepidatious about my high hopes, but hopefully they'll be usable. Because it'll be nice to have an aluminum flake that's not silver. There we go. So shiny. We want it to look shiny. Let's see the light. So you got our little bee head. Cool. You can do his front little paws. I will anticipate getting my stuff then when it is the 20th. Sweet, Valthorn. That's great. Took a long break. Oh, the new Army Painter paints come out, the ones that are aluminum flakes, Laura. I pre-ordered the set. Because I like doing metallics on larger models, and I've always been a little sad that all the gold metallics were mica. They didn't have an aluminum version. So these will be, or they should be, high coverage, good for doing scratches and nicks and stuff, good for base coating, hopefully, if they use the right base for it. Not all aluminum flakes are great for if you're going to be putting like washes or stuff over them. They can get, some of them are not, don't have the paint adhere as well when it's thinned. So hopefully we'll have a good reaction with these. Yeah, I mean, if they want to be competitive in the paint market, you got to keep up with the times. That's why I always tried to keep up with the technology when I was head of the paint department. The little hands holding on to his little pouch. I don't want that bright, so I'm going to glaze it. But yeah, I'm always looking, because I really like a really good looking shaded metallic. I'm always on the lookout for stuff that can help me do better shaded metallics, and I pretty much have decided to do shaded metallics on my Golden Demon entry. So, and I'll have to do gold metallic for that. So that's why I'm very interested in these new Army Painter paints. That's maybe a little bit much. But if I make like the hand a little bit light, then I can just take my black indigo that's all thinned down, I can glaze it. All right. Let's do... Yeah, I have agitators, so pretty much when I get a new paint, I just pop some agitators in it and give it a good shake. And if it's a pot, then I'll just open it and stir it around. So here on the arm, there are just lots of little tiny bumps. Probably meant to be hairs, furry arms. So little tiny hairs. But yeah, I haven't needed a bottle shaker. I still have, my arms still work. So I'll shake them. Often I'll thin, depending on what the paint is like, I'll thin it a little bit in the bottle because a lot of paints are just really thick. And if you thin them a little, they'll agitate better. Alright, so now I'm going to do something interesting. I'm going to do a kind of a mid-glaze highlight here. I want to thin it down a little. And I want to kind of put a glaze over here on the top of the arm to make it a little lighter. I'm going to dry off my brush, come back in, pull most of the excess off. So that was putting kind of a highlight glaze on the back of the arm where the light's going to be hitting it, so I can get that highlight in there without bringing the whole arm up too much. So tomorrow I will be streaming. I may start half hour early. I may start more like 3 p.m. Central USA time. And it's a question mark whether I'm going to work on this lady. She's almost done. She has some bronze NMM, some leather, and a little bit of hair left to do to finish the model, and then of course there's the base other than the stump, which is done. Or if I feel like it, I might work on my Golden Demon, but I probably won't work on the GD entry because I'm still putting him together. I don't have Critter fully put together yet. He's headless. He's a headless Critter right now. Yeah. Yeah, when that happens, CHB, I always just pop the top off and just stick a skinny brush butt in there and just stir it around. Or a toothpick. Anything to get it, anything to get the sludge off the bottom. Because usually that means that the paint has sat on the shelf for a long time, and if the paint is already thick, really thick, then you've got a real danger that the resins are going to just kind of settle out and plug. All right, I think Mr. B, I think we're at a good point. Oh, super, Laura. Yeah, I'll aim for 3 p.m. because I want to do an hour and a half, but I want to be able to watch my Overwatch too without waiting too long after it starts. Best to watch live so that David doesn't spoiler me by seeing results on Twitter. So we did that arm. I'm actually pretty happy with it. It's light at the back. It's dark at the front and the shadow. I think that's pretty good, actually. We did a lot today. B is moving pretty fast. So I think I'm going to do stripes on his lance and do little stripes that go around. Probably yellow and a different color. I haven't decided if it's yellow and black. It makes sense for it to be yellow and black, but we'll see what our accent color. Accent color is going to be like a magenta or a purple. So I might choose to repeat that somewhere. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, it'll be fun. Maybe we'll do metallics. Maybe we'll do leather next time. Maybe we'll do both. But B is he's super cute. I'm glad we used gloss. I really like how the wings came out. He's adorable. I'm into the B. No, not really, Trashorama. The only thing for me, and I mentioned this, is that I'm unlikely to do much on stream with it because, like, to do that high level, to get to that high of a level, it's me painting and repainting and glazing and adjusting, and it's like a lot of time on, like, little small parts, like, that I'm not making a lot of progress. And to really paint to a high level, I have to really be in the zone and focused. And when I'm on stream, that introduces a distraction that sometimes detracts from that for me. So, like, streaming can help me to get past a difficult part if I'm kind of stuck. And for that, I would use it. But I think that if I'm in the zone and I'm just working, I probably want to just be in my own head instead of on stream live. I don't think GW has rules about keeping GD entries secret anymore. I mean, I think it's kind of just there's that mentality, right? Surprise everybody with your competition entry. I don't really care. I'm just like, nobody cares what I'm doing anyway. I'm not one of the big names in GD this time, right? I just want to use the excuse to try to paint like I used to paint and to give it a shot because I would love to get another demon, sure. I would love to say, hey, I still got it. I think the old ladies of mini painting must be represented. For sure. And I know GW style. I know the games. I know the backstory. I worked for them for frick's sake. Like, I get what a GW paint job should look like, and so I just think it'll be fun to try. Yeah. I'm going to paint a couple things probably, since we're not going till next year. I just want to paint a couple of things and see. I mean, some of the best people in the world go there. So you know going in that there's going to be at least 10 other people with models that are every bit as good as yours. And at that point, it comes down to, can the judges nitpick something on those other models? Or can they nitpick something on yours? Or just judge preference? Right? So you know that's you got to keep that in mind going in. If you keep that in mind going in and you just make, getting the finalist pin, maybe is your goal, right? For me in the old days, it was like, I just want to make first cut. That's what it is now. Is like first cut is like there's a card and then there's finalist pins and then there's the demons, which is really nice. I like that they give you that additional level of feedback. Yeah, it's Adepticon. For the US, it's Adepticon. Apparently it's in Germany for Europe this year. I do. I stream every morning during the week, Prince, and then I do my Saturday stream. And we do all sorts of models, and I really love Mr. B. I really love Mr. B, how he's coming along. We were just talking about Golden Demon because I want to enter next year. Get back in, see if I can win another one. Yeah, I have two. I have two from 2002. The year before I came to work for a Reaper. I did Golden Demon in Baltimore, which of course was the big one at that time. And I got a Silver Demon right after Victor Hardy, who won the Slayer Sword that year. And then Jennifer Haley and I road tripped up to Canada to go international, and we both won Demons at that show. Games Day is what they used to have Golden Demon at. So Games Workshop did a con. It was kind of like a grand tournament, plus painting competition, plus shopping, plus everything. It was a proper con. They don't do them anymore. They pretty much now, it just seems like they put on the Golden Demon at an existing con. Oh, yes, it was at Games Day. Yep. Games Day Canada and Games Day Baltimore in 2002. Yep. Ann Forster, my maiden name. The name I still paint under, technically. Although I think that the Golden Demon site actually has me as Canadian, which is just silly. I always think, I should email them. And then I'm like, meh. I don't really care. You made first cut years ago, and that's good. That's really good. Oh, you're a Youngbloods. Sweet. Awesome. I taught a Youngblood back in the day. He wasn't a Youngblood when I started teaching him, but he was by the end. He was a Youngblood's winner by the end of it. So we were very proud of him. But yeah, the Youngbloods is a cool thing. Like, I think every painting competition needs that. Like, we have youth awards at ReaperCon too. I'm an honorary Canadian. Yeah, right. I almost married a Canadian. Then I would have been a real Canadian. But I didn't want to live in Saskatchewan. And there were other things too. But at any rate, yeah, you can't get gold at ReaperCon. Well, remember though, Dogfather, that the painting standard has gone way up since those days. My work now that won a Golden Demon, nicest, he's in the case in the other room, is not near good enough to actually place this year. Or, like if I entered it this year. It's gotten very, very good. Everything gets better. All right, guys. That's long enough. I'm going to leave you guys. I'm going to be on my stream tomorrow on twitch.tv/paintingbig at around 3 p.m. USA Central Time, when we can hang out and chit-chat more. I enjoyed our chit-chat today. I will be fresh from failing at the Open, the CrossFit Open, in the morning, so. Yeah, they wouldn't make it in 2020. Nope. It's true. All right, yep. Have fun, everybody. Thanks, Prince. Thanks for hopping in. And Quindy, thank you for herding the cats, as always. Yeah, you guys have a great weekend. Yeah, we were chanting, Laura. We were chanting, all of the women, as we were doing our jumping jacks for warm-up. We're like, 10 thrusters and we're done. 10 thrusters and we're done. It's like, we do 10 of those, and then we're just going to struggle at the bar for 15 minutes. It was fun. All right, I'll see you guys later. Bye!